I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
You know, it's funny, the places where we receive enlightenment. The last couple of weeks, mine's been at the grocery store. Again, yeah. I was in, this time, Safeway this week, and buying some bread and some juice and some lettuce. And I was in a hurry because I was late for a meeting. And I'm like, I just need to get in here and get out and get to my meeting. And, you know, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling focused. I'm like centered on what I'm doing. And I get in line, and in front of me is some woman that's got like 48 items in the 10 item or less line, right? I know, because I counted them. Right? And I went from being in this peaceful place to thinking that the whole world is collapsing. Right? It was like my brain was lit up like a Christmas tree that was falling over and catching on fire. And I went into this inner drama. Yeah, me, spiritual me, right? And I'm really seeing this is how civilization collapses. I started rehearsing these TED Talks that I was going to give, you know, to this woman right there in that moment. And then I looked at her. Now, she didn't look like this woman, but it looked to me like she was freaking out, right? She was worried. She looked anxious to me. She looked sad and distraught to me. And I looked at her, and all of a sudden I got this whoosh, right? Chicken skin. It's like, wow. Compassion. Compassion showed up for me in that moment. And I was like, oh my God, of course. It's my job. It's our job to love everyone, right? The Christ light slipped in between the bread and the lettuce and the juice and reminded me of who I was. And I could feel my attitude changing. I could feel my brain changing in that moment as I went from anger to love. Ever have a moment like that? Where something on your shoulder, spirit sitting on your shoulder, and says, scoot over. Let me drive for a minute. Let me take charge. You just get out of the way. So we're doing a 4-week series on Advent. Advent is, and the way I see it, it's a metaphysical or a spiritual journey that we move through on the way to experiencing our fullness, on the way to experiencing our Christ self, right? That essence, that truth, that is who we are. You're all aware of that, right? That Christ presence, the love presence, the peace presence, the truth presence is within you. And I really believe the reason that we're here in these bodies is to experience, have our grocery store experiences, to bring us awake to that presence. So this whole Advent process is an evolution, a spiritual evolution that we're going through to get to that place where we experience the fullness and the truth of who we are. And it begins, we started it on November 30th with hope revives your future. Hope is the new science of possibility. And I'm having so much fun with this series because what I've realized is that science is catching up with spirituality, right? We've known these spiritual principles. People have been practicing them for thousands of years, we in Unity who look at spirituality metaphysically, look for life through the deeper meanings of it and what it has to share with us and show us, realize this. But now science is showing that all this bugaboo spirituality stuff that we believe is absolutely true. And we're going to talk more about that today. So hope is that spark, that light that we get in our awareness that says, I can be more than this. I can be more than this fear. I can be more than this doubt. Ever get that thought? It's just kind of a whew, right? And that's hope. And what that hope is showing you is that this is the beginning of the path for the full realization of who we are. And then the next step we talked about last week is the vibrational power of peace, right? In order to have access to the truth of who we are, to be able to listen to the spirit within, we have to get quiet. And we talked about last week that for many of us, or perhaps for all of us, there's an inner war going on, right? Between our spiritual self and our ego self and the personality, right? In order for us to experience the fullness of who we are, we have to be at peace. We have to rest. We have to listen. We have to meditate. We have to pray if we really want to get in touch with the truth of who we are. So today, we're taking it even to the next level, and we're looking at love. Right? This is where the transition, the transformation begins to happen. And what I find so exciting about this, and I titled this talk, The Brain on Love, how the Christ light rewires us. Right? When we get into this place of connecting with our Christ self, our true self, our highest possibility, our love, it actually begins to rewire our brain. Not because of some mystical woo-woo that happens, right? This is a practical process that we go through that brings enlightenment, right? Do you want that? Right? Yes. So, hope kind of lights the spark. Peace settles us in and clears the path. And love is the force that transforms us from the inside out. The force that is transforming you from the inside out. At Christmas, we celebrate the birth, right? The birth of Jesus, the birth of Christ. But the birth isn't out there. The birth really isn't about what happened 2,000 years ago, right? This birth isn't out there in a manger. It's in here in a manger, in our hearts and in our minds. It's kind of like, Christmas is kind of the big distraction. We make it be about out there and the lights out there, and it's all just symbolic, right? It's really not. I think if Jesus were here, he'd say, folks, you misunderstood, right? It's not about the birth that took place 2,000 years ago. It's the birth that's happening right now in our consciousness. And the truth of it is, love is not just an emotion. Love is a rewiring force that is changing you, me, from the inside out. Love is not an emotion. It's a rewiring force. It's metaphysical. It's spiritual. It's biological. It's transformative. The Christ light doesn't just comfort us, it rejuvenates us. It reconstructs us. It repatterns our nervous system. It awakens the truth of who we are. And this is stuff that science is now discovering happens when we experience love. So let's look at the neuroscience of love. Specifically, the neuroplasticity that love literally builds new circuits in our minds, right? We know science proves that our mind is constantly reshaping itself, rebuilding itself. And every intentional choice that you make changes your mind, changes your neural pathways. When you choose compassion instead of irritation, when you breathe and rest and pause instead of reacting, when you offer grace instead of replaying an argument, you are literally rewiring your brain towards love. This Christ light is literally reforming your nervous system. You know, when we feel love, gratitude, or compassion, our heart rhythm becomes beautifully ordered. And we experience a heart-brain coherence, right? And that coherence that is created helps us connect with our intuition. It helps us enhance the clarity in our minds. It helps us have emotional balance. Spiritual teachers have always said, what? Lead with the heart. Listen to the heart. Listen to your heart. Pause, rest, go within and listen. Ask your heart. And science says, yeah, you know what? You're right. Those teachers were right. You know, our brains are built for compassion. When we witness, science has shown that when we witness love, when we see two people in love, or when we see someone loving their pet, when we experience love, we see it, it actually becomes an experience in our own mind, right? Our mind shifts and reacts to observing someone else experiencing love. It's as if we are observing it, or as if we are participating and experiencing it ourselves. Wow. You know, when we witness love, our brain lights up as if we were receiving it ourselves. No wonder kindness moves us so deeply. No wonder generosity elevates us. Love is contagious on a cellular level. So that's the science part. Let's look at the spiritual part, or the metaphysical, the metaphysics of love, right? The truth is, the Christ light is our blueprint, right? We are not becoming loving, we are loving. Your essence is loving. Fear is forgetting. Love is remembering the truth of who we are. The Christ self is our blueprint, is your blueprint. It is the truth of who you are. Love reorganizes our energetic field, right? When we are experiencing love, when we are in love, it's actually raising the vibration of our magnetic field. Love lifts our vibration. Love lifts us into a place of experiencing divine order. We become one with all that is when we are in a place of love. Because we can't, as the Course in Miracles says, we can't experience love and fear at the same time. So when we are in that place of love, it affects everything that we experience. If we go somewhere and hold that vibration of love and hold it intentionally, it's going to affect everyone that we are dealing with. And then there's the third idea is that what we focus on rewires our brain. Right? It's a law. In Unity, we call it the law of mind action. Right? Now science is saying, wow, what Unity has been teaching for 125 years is absolutely true. What you focus on wires your brain. If you rehearse fear, fear strengthens. If you dwell on love, love strengthens. The Christ light in you grows every time you choose it. You know, spiritual teachers have been saying this for years, for thousands of years. Christianity reminds us that perfect love casts out fear. In Buddhism, loving kindness dissolves illusion. An illusion is where the fear comes from. Hinduism says compassion reveals the divine self. And in Unity, we say love is the magnet that draws forth our highest good. Right? That's what I want. You? I want to come from that highest place of good, right? The Christ light is a neurological awakening. The nativity, the birth of Jesus, is about a spiritual birth. But it's not about a birth 2,000 years ago. It's about a birth that's happening right now. And boy, do we need it right now. Every moment that you choose love opens your consciousness to the Christ light. And that light is born again. It's not just a metaphor. This is transformation. So, how can we experience the birth of our Christ self? How can we participate in that? Right? Because it doesn't just magically happen. We get to do some work to make it happen. Right? We have to develop our consciousness so that we can experience the fullness of this. So I've got some ideas. I got 5 practices to restore your brain for love. And the first one is when something in your field causes a reaction, pause. Ever have those moments? Right? I certainly had one in the grocery store when I saw those 48 things and counted every single one of them on that conveyor belt, right? But I had the presence of mind to take a breath and just pause and go, wow, interesting. Interesting what's happening within me. And to recognize that this is here to get my attention. This is I like to call it a holy interruption, right? So, our brain kind of has 2 modes. It has autopilot and going to fear, or it has awareness and intention and responding with love. And we get to choose in every moment which way are we going to go. Are we going to make quick reactions? Are we going to be defensive? Are we going to make assumption? Are we going to call upon the inner attorney and keep our retainer? But if we can pause just for 2 seconds, that's where the magic happens, right? When we go, ah, oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, okay. I can be different. I can come about this. I can come into this situation as my Christ self. It's a choice that I get to make. It kind of says, you know what, fear? You don't get to decide what's happening in this moment. I do. My Christ self gets to decide. And it's interesting that in that moment, in that sacred pause, our prefrontal cortex lights up, right? The wise part of us, the compassionate part of us, the part of our brain lights up that connects with the truth that we know and the love that we know. Love gets the microphone. The Christ light slips into the driver's seat, and the whole encounter shifts. We have a change in perception, don't we? Course in Miracles calls that a miracle when we have a change in perception, when we see something different and choose to be with it in a different way. So the second thing we can do is similar, and it's to breathe and drop your attention into your heart. This is a power. This is going to be one of the most powerful techniques that I know. And many spiritual teachers teach this process and practice this practice. It's got to be the most powerful tool that I can think of. Because when our breath slows, the energy in our heart becomes coherent. And it sends signals to the brain that said, you're safe. Everything's okay. You're grounded. You can be open in this moment. And this simple shift moves us from survival mode to spiritual mode. Can you see the difference? So I invite you, put your hand on your heart. Let's just give this a shot, right? And I invite you to breathe deep, to breathing into your heart space, breathing into the love place in your heart. And watch your breathing. And let your breath be slow. Breathing in, breathing out. And as soon as you do this, the Christ presence says, here I am. You remembered me. I'm right here. It only takes seconds to remember. Breath and heart is a direct connection to the kingdom within, to the birthplace, to the center of your being. That's where the Christ is. And the next thing we can do to experience this Christ presence is to practice compassion in what I call micro practices, right? Small acts, big results. You know, love doesn't always show up just at the big heroic moments. It shows up in the tiny, ordinary occasions, shifts, in the small choices. Holding the door open for someone, letting somebody in traffic, smiling at a stranger, sending a kind text, forgiving yourself for freaking out. Each small act of compassion strengthens the neural networks associated with empathy and compassion and love and joy. It's kind of like spiritual weightlifting. You know, this path that we're on takes practice, right? In essence, we have to practice. And one of the most powerful practices is to practice forgiveness. And I like to think of forgiveness as releasing what your brain is tired of carrying. Right? Forgiveness isn't about changing the past. Forgiveness changes the hold the past has on our nervous system. Forgiveness changes the hold that the past has on our nervous system. You know, as you know, we don't forgive somebody for them. We forgive it for who? For ourselves. You know, when we carry resentment, the brain rehearses the wound over and over and over and over, strengthening the pathways of fear, anger, and contraction. But forgiveness, genuine forgiveness, cuts the electric charge of that memory. The event remains, but its power dissolves. We literally reclaim our neuro real estate. You know, forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. What they said was okay. It means I'm not letting this shape my brain anymore. I'm not going to let this situation walk the halls of my brain. Right? We get to choose what we hold on to. It's spiritual freedom, neurological liberation. It's like love surgery. Right? And the last thing we can do is to visit your soul gym. Anybody been to the soul gym recently? Right? This is where we practice meditation, where we practice prayer, where we practice affirmations, where we practice gratitude. Right? Because this is what builds our inner strength, our spiritual. You know, we like to think, I'm enlightened, I've taken all the classes, I've done all this stuff. I don't need to do the work anymore. How's that work? You know, what I think one of the beautiful things about us coming together as a community is that we help to remind each other and support each other through the challenges that we have in life. And to remember, let me pray with you. Let's meditate together. Let's experience love together. This soul gem helps us reconnect our peace circuits, our joy circuits, our compassion circuits, our Christ awareness circuits. It's like this is the place where our soul trains our brain. Somebody agreed with me. And it's like when we visit our soul gym, it's like we're saying, this is who I choose to be. This is how I want to build my consciousness. This is how I want to develop the Christ presence within me. So I have an invitation for you. The invitation is to let hope be your future. Follow that divine spark. When you get a divine spark that says, there's a possibility for you, don't ignore it. Listen to it. Pray about it. Go inside. Go into the place of peace. Quiet your inner war and listen. Our Christ self is speaking to us all the time, but we've been conditioned in these bodies not to listen. And the third thing that we can do is to let love rebuild the structure of your being. Let love rebuild the structure of your mind. Let love rebuild the structure of your consciousness and your thinking. It's to say yes to the Christ that's within you. So our affirmation today has a number of different lines, and I want to take it line by line with you and really absorb it as we say it. Are you good with that? All right. So the first line is, I'll say it and say it with me, we'll do it for the rest. I choose love. I choose love. Love chooses me. Love chooses me. The Christ light rewires my mind. The Christ light rewires my mind. Reshapes my heart. Reshapes my heart. And restores my life. And restores my life. So I have a blessing for you today. Beloved friends, as we step from this sacred moment into the week ahead, may the hope we awakened continue to open your future. May the peace that we are cultivating quiet every inner storm. And may the love that we celebrate today rewire your mind, soften your heart, and remind you of who you truly are. May the Christ light within you guide your thoughts, calm your body, and illuminate every step you take. May you feel that light in the grocery store, in the car, in your conversations, and in those quiet moments where Spirit whispers, I am here. I am you. I am love. And as this light grows in you, may it ripple outward, blessing your family, your community, this beautiful world that we share. Go in hope. Walk in peace. Shine with love. And know that the Christ is being born in you, through you, and as you, right now. I invite you just to close your eyes and just be in this space of love for a few moments. Thank you. Thank you, loving Spirit, for this love, this peace, this hope. And I invite you to open your eyes and bring your awareness back to this moment. Namaste. Oh, why don't we take a breath and stand up? And we'll affirm the prayer for protection together, and then I'll invite you to join together in a circle, and we'll sing the peace song. So for ourselves, for this ministry, for this truth that we practice, for the love that you are sharing with the world, let's pray and affirm together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you. Thank you for being here today, and have a great week.
Where I live, there are rain.